D. McClung, Archer Monologues. That's where I talk and you listen. Or not. Understand that. A monologue is exclusive to just one person. I'm talking. Just me. We're not having a conversation. We're not having a discussion. Which is another word for debates, which we also are not having. That's not what this is. It is the nature of a monologue to be a monologue. One person speaking. So, if you're listening, and obviously you are if you're hearing me say this, you're listening. And there should be a lot more people listening than this. However many there are listening at this point. Call me a narcissist if you want. I don't care. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not being a fucking hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I really work at not being a hypocrite. If I say this is what I believe, then I'm not going to turn around and tell you I believe something the opposite of that. It wouldn't be right. I think you would agree with that, right? Of course you would. So if I'm saying the Constitution exists, it is the law of the land governing the government. And that's what it is. That's what it was intended to do. It is important to understand what things are and what their function is and what application we can put them to. The Constitution, for example, has a Bill of Rights. And in that Bill of Rights, there's free speech. There's the freedom to practice your religion as you please. Also in the Bill of Rights is that guarantee, which has been forged and put into a document, into a contractual form for the purposes of telling the government, you can't do that. The Constitution has no value, has no worth, it has no purpose, it has no point of being if it is not respected and obeyed by those that it was written and established for. In this case, the government. First Amendment says, and I might be paraphrasing here, Congress shall make no law. No, I think that's exactly what it says. That means shall make no law in regards to 1. Human rights, of which one of them is the right to keep and bear arms, protect myself, self-defense, protect my property, protect my family, protect myself, my own life, protect my neighbors' lives, property. The right to keep and bear arms is not granted by the Constitution, and it's not granted by the government. It is a natural, inalienable human right. I don't need the Constitution to tell me that. I know that. You might say it's an instinct, self-preservation. I don't need a document. I don't need a contract. I don't need a Constitution to tell me that I have the right to defend myself against bad guys. And that includes the government, which is the bad guys. So if you're going to preach the Constitution and preach freedom and preach that the Constitution tells the government that it cannot, say, for example, ban or censor free speech. If the Constitution says, and it does, Congress shall make no laws. Now, that is stated with the presumption, which is also defined within the Constitution, in common sense. The government cannot violate our right to do whatever that right may be a description of. For example, I have the right to have sex. I have the right to breathe. I have the right to not drink fluoride in my water. Not drink water that has fluoride in it. That's right. Not to be medicated by force, subterfuge, and coercion practiced by the government. And by the way, fluoride is a known, how do I put it? I don't really want to say poison. It could be described as poison. It certainly is not beneficial. And this concept that it prevents cavities is statistically a lie. And yet people believe it. Mass numbers of people in America believes it. And at the same time, they don't understand the hypocrisy in saying we have the right and then accepting the fact that we can't exercise that right. So, in regards to the Second Amendment, for example, the government is not allowed to make any law, period, none, zip, zero, zilch, nada, that in any way infringes upon the right to keep and bear arms by every individual human being on the planet. I'm not saying the Constitution applies to France. They have their own Constitution. What I'm suggesting here is, well, I'm not suggesting it, I'm saying it. The government is required to obey the Constitution and honor the oath to protect and defend it. All the way up to being dead, by the way. So help me God, that's what it means. It means if I break the law, if I violate my oath of office, if I violate the Constitution, you can kill me. Not with a mob lynching thing, but, through the proper procedures. Arrested, convicted of treason, crimes against humanity, and then bingo. The penalty for that is, we're going to take you out and put you on the end of a rope and dangle you from a tree. Like, make tree ornaments out of you. If that is not the consequence of so help me God and taking an oath in the first place, if that is not the intent of the Constitution, which was written by people way long ago who were not perfect, by the way, but it's a universal principle. A universal principle that encompasses and embraces the concept of freedom and the principles of freedom. And the principles of freedom are what they are. What brings me to this? I'm announcing today that I am beginning a large project, one that will take me a while to complete. And I do not take up on this, do not take this project that I have chosen to embark upon lightly. I have decided that the world needs it, that America needs it. The American people need to hear what I'm going to write in that book. The name of the book, working title, is Working Title. All right. I assume you know what the word working title means. The name of that project is Indictments Against the United States Government and all of the lesser governments, state and federal and local governments, inclusive. in that book, I will show. To simplify it, let's just say I'm going to provide a list of crimes that the United States government has committed, as well as some local and state crimes that have been committed over the course of generations. Now it says a brief history. In my introduction, I put the phrase, I intend to show a brief history of the United States government's crimes against humanity and constitutional violations and so forth. I am going to provide some observations about these events. For example, I am, and I say from the beginning of this country, as a government of this country, there has to be a distinction between the country and the government. There's two different entities. I'm not going to get into the details on defining country as opposed to government, and I'm not going to get into all those details today. And I'm going to write about things like Waco, a crime against humanity, an atrocity, of which no one, as far as I know, was prosecuted and found guilty of, let's say, murder. 74 people were murdered in Waco by the government. This is not in dispute, at least as far as I know. There's no... I've never read anybody say that, oh yeah, that didn't happen. When, if you've been alive for any period of time and you've studied any kind of human history, recent human history in the sense of the last 50 years or so, you are well aware of the fact that the United States government murdered 74 innocent people, men, women, and children, in Waco, Texas. It's a crime against humanity. And in a sense, and I'm stretching it here a bit, but in a sense, the United States government committed an act of genocide against the people who lived and were involved in the complex of Waco, Branch Davidian building, etc. An atrocity. And nobody was found guilty. In the eyes of the world, who are in the know, who have any inkling of what happened in Waco many years ago, should be well aware of the fact that those people were murdered by the United States government. That's not disputable. I have never heard any evidence to the contrary. Now, the government story, the official government story, is bullshit, as always. But I will list that in the book. Waco, Ruby Ridge, the Civil War, the War of Aggression against the South, World Wars, World War II, for example. It's common knowledge now that FDR knew damn well that the Japanese were going to attack somewhere in the Pacific. And, specifically Pearl Harbor. That information is, and I suppose it's fitting that today is December the 7th, 2016, a day that will, that commemorates the beginning of World War II, or the United States, what is it? The day that will live in infamy? Now, in my book, I'm not necessarily going to give you a whole bunch of references and stuff to go by, because primarily you've got the internet, and that's what it's for. Do a search, do some research, do your homework. You do it. for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Check it out. Do some research. Do your homework. Don't be lazy. I'm not going to do all your homework for you. It's just silly. I've done it, and there is a certain practical concept in me providing you with references and some data to refer to prove that what I said is true. I could list all those information, all those data, all the proofs, all the documents, and so on and so on and so on. But since it's obvious that these things did happen, things that I'm going to mention in the book, and there's no reason for you just to take my word for it. There are a lot of things in the world that you should not take for granted. Unfortunately, you do. A lot of you do, actually, take the word of a liar, a known, proven liar, and accept it as true when you know damn well that it's a lie. I could list a bunch of things there, too. Like, for example, this is a free country. If you look around, if you're conscious, if you're not, living with your head up your ass, you know that statement is not exactly true. It may be partly true, but in general, it's just simply not true. So I'm going to do this project. I'm going to undertake it. I've already began the preliminaries. And I urge you to stay tuned as that project progresses. And I will be giving updates along the way to let people know how the project is going. Through social media, Facebook, Google+, and so on. The thing about that project is that it needs to be done. And it's a large project. It's a huge project because there's so many cases of crimes against humanity committed by the government of America, including state, federal, and local. I will certainly include a case where I was abused by power, abused by, I'll reveal the case itself. On December the 6th, there's an anniversary there. On December the 6th, 2006, I believe it was, the city of Shinston, a little burg not too far from me, about 7 miles from me, that engaged in unconstitutional, anti-freedom bullying of yours truly. I can give some details on that. I have almost perfect memory of that situation. And in particular, the municipal judge and the police department, particularly one police officer, committed crimes against me and violated the Constitution of the United States. And I should have sued them for their crimes. And in fact, it could have very well possibly been I could have filed criminal charges against the judge and his police force, that particular officer in particular. But I haven't yet. It's been a while. 10 years? Time sure does fly. At any rate, I will include such things as the crime against humanity when the U.S. military, under the direction of the government, invaded Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, and committed crimes against that country, those people. Atrocities. I will mention the blockade against Cuba for many, many decades, and the absurdity of that. Like I said, the book will not be completely, it will not be comprehensive in the sense of listing every single crime, every single day, every single charge or incident of criminal behavior by the government. The book would be probably endless. I wouldn't finish it, perhaps. But I'm telling you about this book because I'm committed to it at this point, and we will see if I actually follow through and actually do the book to completion and publish it. I surmise it will take about a year to complete the book. So perhaps this time next year, I'll be announcing the release of that book to the public through Amazon.com, for example. Perhaps. That's the plan at this point. I use Amazon.com as a distributor for my writings and my artwork, my picture books, for example. So I look forward to that, and I'll keep you updated on progress on that. One has to bear in mind that I have many projects in the works. I have paintings and drawings and writings and poetry and music projects. I have many writing projects in the works, several fiction and non-fiction works. And I have, just the bottom line is, I'm booked and I'm spread thin, but I'm optimistic. And at least I'm optimistic in my life and in my goals in creating these projects and following them through to completion. Good intentions and all that. But I'm looking forward to working on the project and completing that and getting that out to the public for them to read and enlighten themselves if they are not aware of the crimes that I'm going to list. This will be a wake-up call. If they are conscious in today's world, you've got probably, I'm not going to mention any secrets and nothing, I'm going to reveal anything new. I'm not going to present, let's say, some subversive crime that the government committed that is not common knowledge, probably, I would think. Let's put it this way, if I'm aware of it, then there's probably no reason why you shouldn't be aware of it as well. But I'm going to list the book, list the incidents as I recall them and as time and energy permits. So look out for that coming book in the future. All right, and all right, I'm thinking. There's other books in progress. For example, I have a picture book called Nips. That's Nips. That's the title of the book. Simple title, and it describes what the content of the book will be. In this case, nipples, human nipples, male and female, young and old. I'm proud of that book. And I look forward to having that ready for publication and distribution in, say, January of the coming year. Something for you to look forward to. My digital renderings of images of the human body part, the nipple, the human nipple. Like I said, hopefully in January that is released to the public through Amazon, of course. I love Amazon. All right. Another project that I've got going is some fiction. So it's several projects, books or writings, fiction, fantasy. Won't go into detail on that at this point. They are in various stages of completion, and they will continue, and I will eventually release those to the public. If you need a calendar for next year and you like photographs of trees, pictures of trees, I've got a calendar available on lulu.com. That's LULU.com. They are the printers and distributors of that calendar. I'm proud of it, and I would like to. I'd like for people to like it as well and buy it and use it for the coming year. It's the same calendar that I've printed or had printed for this year, 16, and for last year, 2015. But I will be adding to that repertoire calendars with pictures of a collection of pictures of horses, for example, buildings, bridges, waterways, and so on. And some are themed, and some are just general pictures that I have produced that I am fond of. I put them in a calendar. There will be a calendar of nudes and so on. So look for them, lulu.com. Buy them. I need to eat too, you know. Other projects include the second volume of poetry that I promised with the publication of the first volume, Words in a Row, Book 1. And you guessed it, available on Amazon.com. That book hopefully will be completed sometime next year, 2017. All right, I've made the announcements. I have given you some information about that and what I'm up to lately and what my plans are for the near future in regards to artistic projects, writing projects, and so on. So that'll be it for now. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later.